way. So most of the time, it will be priority going over the Jusin.
So we'll see, ladies and gentlemen, because in a 1v1 sometimes becomes a 2v2. We'll head straight into this last elimination match of the day between Influence Rage and Rare Adam. Game number 1.
So right off the bat, it does seem like Powerful as well as Cat9, they want to play right on the creep waves, which is scaringly, pretty scary. But we don't have to be worried too much for the Lunox, as the Starlight Pulse does give her some HP back. But mobility and movement is always going to be the question. Will she be able to catch up to a Baxter during the Shield Unity, as they're just going to be running around so much?
But it's already as you predicted, right? I think it looked like Rare Adam were trying to go for the clear, but Influence Rage were able to clear a lot quicker because of the extra range that they had. And if we take a look at the emblems right now, the Jushin Chan once again going for a little bit more utility, tenacity, and a little bit of more movement speed, plus the fighter emblem coming through, the Brave Smite.
So with that all said and done, it's pretty much understandable that up to the top lane we won't be expecting too much. I know that Esmeralda would have a better lane prio, but it's not going to get them anywhere in terms of the killing blow. But when it comes down to the emblems, this is what I thought it would be fun to always watch, take a look, right? With a couple of agilities coming in from the roaming trio, or rather just for the side of Chan. Chino wants to be fast. You got to make things fast as well in order to really stick down onto someone.
You can see that Lanaya also looking for a little bit of aggression there. Pushing out the damage, it's reflected in his emblems, the way that he wants to play too. There are rotations now from Rare Adam towards this top side of the map, but I think they just do want to facilitate that level 4 as soon as possible.
As long as Chan picks up the level 4, then it will be great going in with the Crimson Beacon. Spots on Lanaya, just within the pixel brush, right underneath of the camps. But with only 3% from the side of Rare Adam, I think that Influence Rage will be able to take a pretty good starting fight, as Powerful is also going to be joining into the mix. She's going to be running through, but it doesn't seem like she wants to. Okay, there we go. The Darkening is just going to be running right up. Hodun going straight up for the Appraiser's Wrath, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be touching anyone at all. Dawn is right in the heart of Influence Rage, putting a lot of pressure down on the Hodun, pushes him away, allowing Lanaya to take a very easy take onto the turtle. And Hodun also went down by the hands of Dawn, so this is not looking great for Influence Rage as they re-engages Dawn onto Chan, and Rare Adam, they're gonna split away from this point.
Rare Adam is nothing if not chemistry, right? The support coming through was very quick. They allowed and saw that opportunity to support Lanaya in the venture of the neutral objective, and they took it. Because technically, with Lanaya as well as Jotun at the same level earlier on, maybe Jotun would have a little bit of a better time just because of the Praiser's Wrath. I like this. Rare Adam, they're doing their best here to try and look for more advantages around the map. And now the big question is, Influence Rage, what do they want to play on? Do they go for more levels into the bottom side of the map? But that might have to wait.
Phase crack down onto Lanaya, drops him down almost immediately. The Brilliant's gonna have to be popped in order for the Lunox to be able to run away far enough. But unfortunately, he will eat the entirety of the crossbow of Tang, allowing Fury to get himself a double. When we look at the southern corner of the map, we do have Cat9 popping off with his own Revitalize, only to be popped off and dead to the hands of 3.
Beautiful trade for Influence Rage there, 1 for 2, and they were able to get 2 kills onto Fury. Now, these are the winning conditions that we wanted to see from Influence Rage to begin with. Granted, sure, Mikey and Fury is not going to be having a good time in that lane, but the fact that Fury has been fed 2 kills, she should be able to get to the power spike faster, and that's might be how Influence Rage turn this around in the mid-game.
We're only looking at not that big of a change when it comes down to the economical factor. I would say the Rare Adam, they would want to chase up onto Chino and just kind of push him away as much as possible. Chino is only at level 6, while Dawn is at level 8. So there are definitely some disparity up in the XP lane, while in the side of the gold lane, Fury is definitely a little bit happier because of their 2 kills.
I wonder what the goal difference is between these gold laners, because I think that will be just key right now. Oh, it's only 100 gold difference.
Yeah.
But there's still a ticking time bomb for Influence Rage.
As now Chan gets himself away with the Crimson Beacon, and now a 3-man fist crack coming from inside Pakidu. This guy is always constantly making all these plays, but unfortunately they don't really quite have the follow-up, as the Pakidu is always a little bit too far away from Influence Rage. There is clearly a disparity between the front lines and the back lines. Oh, Don whiffed it. Didn't really quite manage to land anyone and clip it when it comes to the Falling Star Moon, but he's still fine. Got a lot of skills to work with. He can steal all of that out of Chino. So as long as he kind of play around with that, Pakido also do have some shields though. So you gotta look out for that. As the Falling Star Moon is just gonna be landing onto Pakido. Hotun just gonna be stopping Don for a tad little bit. Fury joins into the fray, only for Chino to find himself in the dark spot. Hotun lands under the Appraiser's Wrath, not quite enough to kill anyone else at this point, leaving 2% from the side of Influence Rage and Rare Adam. All 5 alive, happy to take a free turtle.
Abstract, that's 3 members taken down for the price of none here. Cat9 goes in very aggressively. I don't think he can get out.
No way, Jose! As Fury takes him down with a killing spree to his name, but Fury hops in a jump, only to be shut down by the hands of Mikey with the double kill.
So even if he goes down, Cat9 goes down, it's still traded in for both Hotun as well as Fury. That is value. Value over the neutral objective, value over the kill trades. Rare Adam are pushing the limit here. 4,000 gold lead just because of that. And Influence Rage are now working from behind. Because again, remember, Influence Rage are working on a time bomb. The reason I say this is because Powerful will scale into the late game, and so will Mikey. Fury sure needs more time to get to the power spike, but remember, when members from the side of Rare Adam start to pick up items like the Winter Crown, that's going to be very difficult for Fury to put out the damage. So the pressure, I would say, is on Influence Rage right now.
Let's not forget that Lanaya have got free access over to the back lines. Rare Adam has got answers to deal with Fury. They have answers to deal with front lines. Because Powerful, as long as he gotten at least his 3 items, his Darkening, power of the Chaos Darkening is just gonna be so much for Hotun or for Chino to handle.
Yeah, they don't have anti-CC in their composition as well, right? Meanwhile, if we take a look at the other side, Rare Adam, Powerful brought Purify, Mikey brought Purify, and don't forget the ult coming in from the Lunox too. So there's a layer of security that they have when they come down into these team fights. Meanwhile, for Influence Rage, once they go in, they can't go, wow, what is that? Is that a solo kill?
Solo kill
Lanaya on Fury.
I guess the main part is Lanaya gave no options to Fury. There is no point and no way that any of those weakness procs. So Fury can't fly into the air, especially when Lanaya is already going for the multi-shadow kill.
That's what the Lunox is for as well. Tino goes down. What are Powerful's items right now? Done looking for the secure. Right, that's why.
Yeah.
There's no Divine Glaive, no nothing.
Not yet, but Darkening does have quite some crazy damage when it comes on the Chaos Assault.
So that makes sense. That makes sense. The damage is definitely reflective. We do have a little bit more downtime here. Abstract, at this point, help me answer this, right? Because Lanaya is level 12.
Yep.
Hotun level 9. That's 3 levels of difference between the jungle. They can't go for a contest here, can they?
No way. Absolutely no way. The way the Influence Rage should be playing for now is to get their Hotun to level 15. Because with this current lineup from the side of Influence Rage, I don't believe that they have got any way possible to reclaim their own jungle. The middle lane T2 is definitely going to go down, because the moment that your front line has decided, you know what, I'm going to stand my ground, garrison onto this turn, Powerful will just walk in and like, hello, here's some Chaos Assault, now walk away.
What do you think about this, though? We're looking at the in-game equipment. Fury has 3 items already. Corrosion, the Haas Claws, as well as... What was the last item again?
The Windtalker.
Windtalker, there you go. Is that enough?
I don't think it's enough, to be honest, because what I personally want to see is, at least for Fury, 4 items, right? I don't think that this is quite enough. Yes, this is more about survivability, kind of a 1-1. You don't want to go down too early, because this is a very scary power from the side of Rare Adam. There is a Lanaya as with a ninja that will jump over to the back lines. As long as Fury is able to heal back all of his losses, put himself and stay onto the map, he should be able to slowly scale and probably he will scale a little bit faster than Hotun getting the level 15.
Let's see if that even gets to that point, right? Oh, already Cat 9 getting taunted here.
It does seem like a quick little toss on over to Cat 9 is more than enough to drop Cat 9 to lower than half HP, but it's not going to be the catalyst to allow Influence Rage to jump to Rare Adam because it's not their play and it's not their call. It's on Rare Adam.
So right now, Influence Rage, they're doing their best to just buy time for their team, right? Look for those items as soon as possible. Look for those levels as soon as possible because once again, as it stands, Hotun is still 4 levels below of Lanaya.
4 levels is crazy, buddy. And now, I think it's relatively fair to say that the only time that Influence Rage could fight back would be the 3rd Lord. And having them being able to fight back on the 3rd Lord, that is still not really close to 50-50. It's kind of more like a 40-60 in my honest opinion. By then, Influence Rage's Hotun should be 14 close to 15, but that one level is going to make a very big difference. Rare Adam can still take Lord very easily, but at least what works for Hotun is that he does have Appraiser's Wrath. So he needs to tank a decent amount, he needs to know when and how far he can stretch himself out, and really look out for those Chaos Assaults that Powerful will throw at him.
But the big question is, how will he be able to handle all that damage, right?
Sacrifice Chino, I suppose.
I mean...
His damage taken is currently at 86,000.
And it makes sense, but even he is squishy right now. I guess he did pick up the Radiant armor earlier on.
Not
will
quite
it
yet,
be
yeah.
Will it be enough is my question. Will it be enough? Because it takes, what, 3-4 hits coming in from Paufu or Mikey? Or not to even mention the damage output coming in from Lanaya.
I think that not only Fury needs to go online, actually Chino needs to go online. Chino, as long as he's got the items, he should be able to be a big annoyance. He can play a little bit of that cross-map plays. He went for flicker, not exactly sprint. If he went sprint, he can be pretty darn annoying and really difficult to catch. As such, pushing it onto the side lanes, constantly just stopping creep waves from crashing down onto Influence Rage. Those are the kind of macro play that you can expect as a Uranus. And not only that, you buy time. You may die, but you buy time.
See, he only has 2 items. Brute Force Breastplate and the Radiant. Let's see if they're going to be able to clear here, ladies and gentlemen, because once again, the composition that Influence Rage has brought, not too much wave clear and not too much range.
That's a guaranteed T3 down in the middle lane with Dawn holding onto the helm, escorting the Lord right into the base of Influence Rage. What Rare Adam would definitely want to do is hoping that they will be able to create a barren wasteland over to the side of Influence Rage. With the top lane already down to a sliver, Rare Adam springs into action, putting Chan into a very low amount of HP. Those Shurikens is not quite enough, unfortunately, but at least it's enough to push Fury and Chan back home. Actually, Bakiru as well. So Rare Adam, they will seize this opportunity as much as possible to focus out on the crystal as Influence Rage throws themselves into a rampage to push the rest of the members from the side of Rare Adam out. Unfortunately, Mikey is a little bit too much to deal with. As such, Influence Rage is unable to hold their ground.
Match point now for Rare Adam, the team from the Chinese region, spearheaded once again by the members. Man, Dawn again on the Esmeralda. We've seen him on the Lapu Lapu. We've seen him on the Lucas. And he's always that spear point to the team fights for Rare Adam. Enough so for the rest of the members to do their job properly.
It's so much about the matchup, right? The XP matchup. The game is also revolving around Chino. He needs to scale. And the way that he decided to pick up his items, which definitely makes sense, right? He wants to be the beefy one. He wants to be able to soak up damage for the rest of his team in order for Fury to pop off, or perhaps to give some more space to Hotun to steal these objectives. Take objectives. It's okay even if Uranus dies. If they drag the game long enough, eventually he will start to get important items such as the Oracle, the Brute Force Breastplate, and that is when this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I agree. For me, I think it just goes back to the basics, right? When it comes down to like the drafting phase, which one was their winning lane, I think was my big question.
Unfortunately, they don't really quite have a winning lane.
Exactly.
But what should have worked for them per se is the roaming trio, right? Having the Juicin, having the Fredrin, and as well as having the what's that again? The Badang. they have a pretty good setup. They have a very good way to extend fights, but they don't have the damage to really help them stall the game long enough. Their wave clear is bad, like 1 out of 5, that is like 1.5, which is why they don't really have the opportunity to drag the game long enough, even though their win con is actually towards the late game.
They were out-rotated, they were outshadowed, I think, from the movements coming in from their opposing team. We have Gideon back finally. Gideon, game number 1, thoughts?
Boxia is such a problem to the meta. He's a menace to the meta. He's got to go or you got to pick him up. I think that was like the big pivotal moment. And when it came down to the draft, unfortunately, had Boxia fallen into their hands, things could have been different. But I do agree with the turn. I think that a lot of it comes down to the fundamentals of the game. Play for your strong side, and more importantly, play for your battle lines, because there was a lot of moments where Boxia was getting, why is he hopping over literally everybody to get into the edges of the map, and more importantly, so getting right on top of the correct targets. That doesn't sit well with me. And I think even Influence Rage knows, it's like, okay, we could have played that a little bit better. There's a couple of things that we can optimize from early to mid game, because I think that, like you guys mentioned, if it managed to get into that later stages of the game, there was a lot of comeback ability for Influence Rage. But if we just won out a couple more fights in the early to mid game, I think it would have been a seamless transition, you know?
But, you know, even for me in the late game, what are we like banking on from the side of Influence Rage? Because they have the 1-1, yes, the 1-1 scales, but what happens when members start to build immortalities, winter crowns? Meanwhile, on the other side, they have the Lunox and the Irithel, so that's extra scaling.
It's about peeling. It's about peeling, moving back. Sky Piercer, Zushin, that was the way to go. And I think that's what they wanted to try and do all over again. It's a tough call here, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, really boiling down to the draft, we need to talk about adaptations though, right? Do you think that switching sides might actually help Influence Rage? If they go over to Red's side, that it's going to make Rare Adam actually think twice about what their first 3 picks are going to be?
To be fair, their games were mostly on the red side, if I remember correctly. At least day number 1, almost all of their games were onto red. And if they were to be on second pick, second ban, then they they will have that 2 picks that they absolutely love, right? So understandably, if they're able to get a Boxia, Uranus, whichever one of these is open, then sure, I think that is something to work out for them.
Either or, deny Cat9 his comfort heroes. That's all I'm asking right now.
I think that was probably their best bet. But, well, with that being said, we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be more MLBB action here at the Wildcards. We'll catch you then. Welcome back, everybody. It's currently 5:07 here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The wildcards continue here at the 2025 Esports World Cup, and we're already at match points. The series might end here and now, or it could go the distance. My name's Getting Q. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm going to be your desk host for today. We've got Abstract and as well as Eterna to cover all the action in the game with the commentary, and now it's time to make some adjustments in the game, because we didn't get to touch on the bit of an interesting ban that happened. Saber, what was that all about? I heard a couple of explanations from Abstract, but I'm like, are we being for real here?
Very good question. How about I ask you, what's the good thing about banning the Saber?
I saw what you did there. I saw what you did there. I saw what you did there.
I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this at all. I think that the Saber ban was kind of interesting for me per se, but maybe they've got a hard read. Maybe they've got some inside information.
That's what I was thinking. It could be insider information, right? Something that we're not, aware of.
Thing. It kind of feels like a stretch, right? It's kind of a stretch to me. Oh, damn, I pressed wrong. Do you want to remake? It's fine.
I guess it depends. We'll see it in game number 2.
And if they ban again, then
it's a pattern.
The first one's a fluke, the second one's a pattern, the third one's a... I don't know.
There's a psychopath amongst us. I don't know. It's not exactly a ban that you usually see within the international MLBB space. It's been a very, very long time since we even considered Saber to be a hero of viable option within the meta. But it looks like we're already heading into the draft. Good luck to the both of you. It's Eterna and as well as Abstract. Take it away.
Saber, Saber, Saber. I don't think that's going to be the case. But Rare Adam, they are still gonna be second pick, second ban, and Influence Rage first pick, first ban. The question is, they did manage to pull off that Uranus, but unfortunately not to the best of their abilities, as they did manage to find themselves counted by 2 heroes, the Baxia and the Lunox. If they really want to go for the Uranus, they gotta have to take that out of the picture, or to stagger that Uranus into later on into the draft. But that will be risking giving the Uranus over to Rare Adam.
And on top of all that, right, if they take another ban from the first phase, they might be giving Lanaya one of his power heroes, right? From game number 1, we saw 2 heroes designated to shut down Lanaya, the YSS and the Lancelot. We see the Lancelot ban once again, but what if we shake things up a little bit and ban out the Baxia first phase?
Oh. I would like to believe that Influence Rage want to change things up a little. They know that picking Uranus first would not be the right call anymore, given that the Baxia is highly favored by Rare Adam. So kind of flip the script a little bit. If Rare Adam managed to pull that off against them with the Baxia onto the Uranus, why not they go for the Baxia first? In this case, they actually have decided to ban out the Uranus, because at this point, if they were to go first pick Baxia, they're not exactly going to be afraid of the opponents picking up the Uranus, and if they don't, they can pick up the Uranus themselves.
Exactly. So this might be the wisest option that they can go for here for Influence Rage. Now, the last time they banned out the YSS and the Kimi, do you think that's going to be left open?
With the fact that 2 bans has already went out, I think the YSS is going to be something that we have to consider. So far, when it comes down to Rare Adam, YSS has been played by Rare Adam quite a bit of times. In fact, 2 out of 3 games in the past 2 days. So that will always be at the back of their heads, trying to get Lanaya into a really good spot in the early stages. And in the event that we do see that YSS, it will always open the opportunity for a triple marksman comp, which is something that Rare Adam did manage to pull off in their 3rd game in the very first series.
But it looks like they don't go for any of that, right? They go for the Phoveus ban here instead. A peculiar ban? Are they trying to set up for the 1-1 again?
Did they first pick onto 1-1 before?
It was
Influence Rage. Yes, actually they do.
It was Blue 3.
They actually prioritized 1-1 every time in the past 2 days whenever their first pick. That in the previous game, that was the only one time that they first picked the Uranus. At least day 1, day 2, right?
So with that being said, if they do want to go for the 1-1 again, I think it still needs proper setup. In game number 1, we saw that the 1-1 was picked before the opportunity for the Irithel to be picked up by Rare Atom. And so the Irithel was placed in, picked up, and that's just an easy counter because we were discussing about the 1-1 given kills in the first few minutes of the game to try and kind of equalize or maybe allow the 1-1 to be ahead in the lane. But even then, she was only leading by 100 gold.
That's not a lot. Even though I think the 1-1 had, what, 2 kills? But
Yeah.
the 100 gold was nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And speaking of which, they have decided to first pick onto Kimmy and thus opening up the comfort of Cat 9. The Baxia is going back over to Rare Atom, and Lanaya also takes the YSS. Not a great start for Influence Rage, in my honest opinion.
But remember, when the Baxia was very popular, I think a couple of months ago on the competitive scene, Baxia Jungle, it was the Kimmy that was kind of the quote-unquote answer towards this Baxia, especially in the early game. So maybe that's why we're seeing the Kimmy being picked up first in order to kind of stave off that pressure from the Baxia. We'll see how it pans out once again. But now we're looking at the next 2 picks on the side of Influence Rage. There goes the Cho, as well as the Hayabusa.
Okay, I was about to mention something about this. On the opposite end, rather, the caveats of picking up the Kimmy is that you are going to be really good at setting up team fights, right? A very non-committal implosion when it comes down to the traction pulse. So it sets things up for the fight. Good for dev ball comp. Good for just general area denials. So you might want to play towards that direction. But with the very fact that we have decided to see a Cho over the side of Influence Rage, that just spells to me that they want pickoffs.
Pickoff and also mid-trio prio, which is what they were lacking, right? Technically, with the Cho being picked up just by the Kimmy and the Cho alone, that's fast wave clear, and that's what they were lacking in game number 1. So maybe that's what they're looking for coming into the next few phases of the drafts, considering they might still lose prio over the EXP lane and the gold lane. So they're opening that up as a potential for them to utilize to their benefit. Rare Atom closed the first phase with a Zetian ban.
Okay.
Zetian pick, rather.
Pick, yes. So a very standard dual opening in the first half of the draft. Rare Atom now possesses a very strong vision game from the Fury of the Phoenix plus the Mountain Shocker. With the 1-1 being thrown into the banning phase as well, banning pool. Influence Rage now has a couple of heroes that they can look out for. Number 1, Irithel. Number 2, Moskov. And these are one of the few marksmen that they have piloted to effectiveness.
Hey, I mean, we might see a Ruby in the gold lane again, you know? Who's to show? Because they have a Kimmy in the mid lane. And we've seen that kind of become one of the main avenues for them to set up for a Ruby in the gold lane. So I think that's still a possibility that we could be seeing. And if that's the case, then Rare Atom really needs to think about this properly coming into the second phase. Lapu Lapu gets banned out, so that's respect over to Dawn.
Yep. So Lapu gone. So Dawn gonna have to look out for that. And Rare Atom is actually focusing quite a bit on the marksmen, none of which are targeting their own marksmen. As I mentioned before, the Irithel and the Moskov are the picks that Rare Atom goes for, while Influence Rage is mostly onto the 1-1. With the 1-1 gone, damn, they at least still have the Beatrix that could be in their utility belt.
They picked up the Harris. It's a really bad win rate.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that.
okay. Let's throw that out.
Yeah, I don't really like the Harif at this point. It's always a possibility. But the possibility of winning is kind of meh.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. So if that's the case, and if they want to continue, this early game pressure, we might be seeing something like the Bruno if they want to explore that, right? They already have the Kimmy for late game insurance. They can play with the Bruno if they want to for the gold lane.
Yeah. So Influence Rage still have a couple of options that they can kind of go for. Both of the marksmen, we're just going to put them onto the side. Rare Atom, they haven't picked out an XP laner, and Rage, oh wait, XP laner as well. So at least for Rare Atom, they can always flex out, or rather, they can always pick up that Lucas. That did work out very well for them. And that is going to be the X factor for Rare Atom, picking up Moscow themselves, they now throw the ball over to the court of Influence Rage and force them to react, or rather force them to blindly pick into the final pick that Rare Adam is looking at.
Because they want to make sure that Dawn gets a winning lane.
Exactly.
It's okay for Mikey to play passively or play on the weak side of the map because they know that Mikey, no matter what, will always be consistent and they can rely on him on the late game. But what is important is that Dawn dominates that early and mid game and to allow Mikey to later show off his skills in the later stage. So this is template Rare Adam that we're looking at right now. So the big question is for Influence Rage, how do they pick a hero that wins lane in the EXP lane to shut Dawn down?
How do they respond to this?
Roger
Gulain! Oh, ho, 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 ho. Well, in the meantime, we also do have the... Okay, I didn't really quite expect having a Badang in the XP lane. I know that Paquito is definitely going to be using that show, being the single-out specialist, right? Always playing the Kalia, always just getting himself some pick-offs against the opponent's side. So he will want to go for that. The Roger goal lane. We have been asking for Roger for the longest time ever. So welcome to the wildcards, but not exactly the way that we were expecting.
You're always talking about the Pandora box in MSC wildcards, and you're getting exactly that. Roger, we discussed it for the jungle, but we will be seeing the gold lane. Will it work out? It will be up to Influence Rage to execute, and they're going to close things out for Rare Adam with the Esmeralda pick for Dawn. So another power pick.
So, how's it gonna be? This is an interesting turns of events for Influence Rage. I thought with the way that they played against Zeta, they might want to explore the possibility of a fighter gold lane. But they did not show any of that in their draft against Influence Rage. It is a very catered strategy against Zeta and a very catered strategy going up against Rare Adam. Would it work against Rare Adam? This Roger gold lane that can pop off in the early stages of the game? That's what I want to find out.
I'm curious, and I'm excited to see how the Roger works and how the Roger comes to play. And yet again, another debut pick in for Fury, just really showing us that there goes no bounds to his hero pool, right?
Oh, man.
Ruby, we've seen, we were also really worried about what he would be picking, and the fact that he brought in the Roger, it really shows something. They're at a crossroads. They're pinned to a corner right now. They want to make sure that they can stay in MSC. They want to make sure that their lives are still here. And so, go big or go home, right?
Let's go. Roger plus the Kimi. Normally, I will always want to look at the synergy between Chan and Fury because that is exactly what they showed in the match against Zeta. But that was different because at least that was kind of like a Ruby game. Now, as a Roger, what we want, snowball. We want the Roger to be able to kind of feed off of the battles because of the crazy amount of mobility that Roger have got in his kit. As long as he's running about, and he can be quite a bit of a lane bully as well.
So with that being said, hopefully Influence Rage play to that, right? They want to play to that winning lane. They want to play for the Roger to look for that snowball to kind of hold control over Rare Adam from the early game.
You've always asking for a winning lane off of Influence Rage. And this is going to be their answer. They did field a Badang into the Esmeralda, or rather the Esmeralda into the Badang. So now the Badang is going to be in a relatively tough spot. You don't really have priority. You can't run out of the lanes that effectively. While in the meantime, the Esmeralda can very definitely want to proxy lane if they want to. Because one thing's for sure, Influence Rage, they want to focus more onto the gold lane. They want to play around the gold lane, that lower half of the map, in order to allow the Roger to join into some of these fights.
So let's see, ladies and gentlemen, our last elimination game, potentially the final game if Rare Adam get their way. Will we be saying goodbye to Influence Rage? Only time will tell. Execution will be imperative. Let's get straight into game number 2 in this best of 3.
A very strong showing from Influence Rage right off the bat here in the middle lane already. One thing's for sure also, actually, now I completely forgot that it's actually going up against a Moskov, so it's not exactly a very winning lane. The Roger can always just pounce in onto the Moskov, but a single throw of the Spear of Misery and jumping backwards, that is a range that Roger can't keep up. So this might actually be a lot more of a skill matchup than we have expected.
And that's why I think that mid lane is going to be very important here, Abstract.
Yeah.
We were talking about the winning lanes. I think with the Cho, with Chan as well, they have the range, they have the wave clear, but the big question is, how are they going to be able to translate it over onto the side lanes? Cat9 once again on his comfort pick, being a big nuisance on the Baxia, looking for information, halting the rotations from Influence Rage. And here are the emblems.
Quite the nuke down the middle, but let's talk about the emblems here, as you mentioned. We do have a couple of support emblems, especially when it comes down to the XP lane. But the main thing that we really want to look out for is going to be the Kimi, right? Having the agility as well as the mystery shop. Does want to pop off a little bit earlier because Chan is understandably going to be one person that wants to bridge the game from the early to the mid to the late, right? She's going to be the catalyst in the mid stages of the game if they want to scale late to allow the Hayabusa to go crazy.
We do see the Roger really just focusing on trying to win that lane as well, reflected in from the emblems, but looks like Rare Atom are the first to the first objective.
Pakido looking for an opportunity. It doesn't seem like Attraction Pulse lands on the 2, but they don't really quite have enough damage for them to do so. Dawn joins in the middle of the fight, but Hotun currently getting himself out of the way, but it doesn't seem like Pakido will be able to stay alive from all that. He even flickers out, only for a homing missile coming from Santa Lanaya that will take him down. Most of the members from Rare Atom actually survive with just a sliver of health, so that is kind of scary. While Hotun, all the way in the opponent's purple buff, only to be sniped down by the falling Star Moon.
Oh no, Chen, will he be able to get out? Luckily he will. It looks like Cat9 is too low to look for anything else. Goes for the retreat, but I would say that was kind of messy for Influence Rage, right? They lost control over the neutral objective. They lost Hotun in the process. I think the one thing that they can carry over to the next few minutes of the game is the fact that Fury was able to get a lot of gold shield down. So hopefully that will aid him in that lane against the Moskov.
Actually, I thought that the fight is quite a testament to what Influence Rage could have possibly bring into future fights, right? With Lanaya, Powerful, and Cat9 at such a low amount of HP, the moment that we go over into the early stages, right after the laning phase, when Fury joins into the battle, it's pretty fair to say that he will be the executioner of things.
Yeah.
And Rare Atom will find himself in the top spot. The only thing that kind of, I would say, is kind of like a miss point is the fact that Fury decided to go a little bit safe in the event that he don't find himself with these kind of fights, this kind of opportunity. So that's why he have decided to go to not go for killing spree.
I think he's also waiting for these items to hit, right? We do see that Rare Atom understand the gravity of the situation. They were rotating towards the bottom side, but I think they had information that the rest of the members from Influence Rage were rotating towards the gold lane too. Didn't want to go for the overcommit up until this point. Mikey, though, joining in the battle, was unable to get any assists nor kills, so I think he should be behind a Fury when it comes down to the gold, but in terms of EXP, it's actually Mikey who was able to get level 6 first.
I don't think there will be too big of a difference, hopefully. But here comes Pakiru with the Way of the Dragon that will be landing up on the Dawn, while the Traction Pulse lands on the Cat9. Dawn successfully being able to push and zone Pakiru away, especially since there's no more of the Way of the Dragon, no more pickoffs for the side of Influence Rage. So all 4 members focusing down onto Dawn, only for him to be so tanky. The SOD joins in, allowing them to throw Chan and Pakiru in the top spot. Chino is going to be the first one down, while Hotun completely shut down by the members of Rare Atom.
Another favorable trade for the side of Rare Atom, the Chinese team here. And again, what is up with the retribution from both of these teams, right? First turtle, it was taken by Paufu. Second turtle, it was taken by Cat9.
Really? Oh, yeah, you're right. What's going on?
I'm not sure, but the retributions have been slipping a little. It's okay, it's fine, it's no problem. But it looks like Dawn has and will be able to get that tower in the top side, a little bit more control over the map.
That is big. A completely unlocked Esmeralda at 5 minutes and 24 seconds, but in the meantime, here we go. It does seem like Pakido manages to catch on to Cat9. That's one person down from the side of Rare Atom. The kill credits over to Hotun. Okay,
it's a trade. A trade is a trade at this point because they are falling 3,000-ish K gold behind of Rare Atom right now. Mikey looking for a trade. Is he going to go for it? Oh my god, he does!
Paquito actually managed to get a stun down on Mikey, but that's not going to do anything at all. In the end, Powerful with the Fury of the Phoenix brings Paquito down. Fury all the way behind of T2, teleports himself back home. That's a good recall. And Rare Adam successfully claims all T1 turrets in the map.
Do you remember what we said about Rare Adam on the first day of the wildcards?
What did we say?
We were questioning communication. We were concerned about communication, but look at how in tune they are. Look at them again.
Oh, skewered is what the word I would say about Influence Rage, as Mikey with the Spear of Misery that lands pretty effectively. The members coming in from Southern Rare Adams, they're preparing themselves all the way down south, while Influence Rage, they are forced to play together. And well, in some sense, this is kind of what they want, right? They want to funnel the farm over to either Hotun or Fury, as long as Paquito manages to find a good kick.
Technically, they can also do that for Chan, right?
They can. He does have Mystery Shop, so he can actually pop off a lot earlier if he were to get a good amount of farm, which you can see he's got only 3.6 thousand gold to him as compared to the Hayabusa, which is 3.4.
Oh, wait a second.
That's the kick that we want to see, and that is Dawn finally punished for all his antics.
There you go. There you go. Finally, some fight coming in from Influence Rage. Coming closer to the mid-game, however, if we're referring back onto the gold, because they have Fury and because they have Chan, they might be considering gold distribution here, but that's an invade.
That is indeed an invade with Paquito down to the hands of Cat 9. Influence Rage completely shafted with the back against the wall. Rare Adam takes full control of the jungle down south. While Influence Rage doesn't seem like they have anything to care about the bottom jungle, at least the Hayabusa has got some fun to work with. As now the ship will land right down on the genome, allowing Cat 9 to once again get yet another kill.
They also lose the orange buff in return. Oh, Mikey, very aggressive.
Wow, not the kind of teleport that I was expecting from Mikey to actually take that.
Maybe that's how far ahead he is, right?
I think so. How far ahead exactly is he?
I think we should be seeing the item builds and like the gold disparity quite soon. Oh, there it is.
Wait, it's just 400 gold lead between the gold leaders.
Exactly.
But to be fair, it's 6,000 gold with almost the trifecta.
Under 10 minutes as well.
Under 10 minutes as well, yeah. It's currently sub 9, 8 minutes and 20 seconds and counting, with the Lord that's currently going to be popping out in more or less in 30 seconds. Rare Adam has got full control of the map. It's just bleeding red. And Influence Rage haven't even gotten a single T1 turret. This is going to be a really difficult game for them to play, considering that their draft kind of wants them to kind of scale well from the early, mid to the late.
Okay, we're looking at XP differences from the jungle as well, approaching this next neutral objective that will be spawning under 5 seconds. Lanaya is at 12, Hotun is at 11, so technically he's not too far behind. Just a little bit more, I think, would allow him to have that 50-50 against Lanaya in terms of retribution take, but they're blitzing it, Abstract.
Yep, there's no challenge at all for Influence Rage. It's okay. As long as Influence Rage is able to deal with one problem at a time, as long as they make it to the late game, that is what they want. They picked up the Roger for one purpose only, and that is to have him as the executioner at the late stages of the game. That is solely because of the fact that you don't have the killing spree, right? They didn't play towards and around Fury as well, so it's more of a safe game for the Roger.
Hopefully safe will be enough because that Lord is still marching.
The OG Shadow kill all onto Mikey, but he does have the Heart Claw, so he's not too afraid, but he will recall back home. Watch out for the SOD that will be running down to the middle lane, as now we do have the fist crack that's going to be slamming right onto Dawn. There's more than enough for them to be able to get themselves a hit. Well, Mikey went back home with a recall. SOD lands on the Paquito. He rejoins the fight. There's more than enough for them to try to get themselves right back into this game, but unfortunately, at this point in time, Radam already lost 4.
Yeah, 4-for-2 trade. That was huge for Influence Rage. They're going to be able to keep all their inhibitors intact, and even the shield doesn't get popped there. This is a turning point that we've been waiting for. We finally see the potential of Fury on the Roger. 2-0-3 right now as the gold gap starts to dissipate. 29,000 to 32,000, only a 2,000 plus gold difference between these two teams.
They're almost there, almost at the turning point. Rare Adam still can seize control in the map at this point in time. As long as anything that Influence Rage reaches somewhere around 13 to 14 minutes of winning team fight will swing towards the favor of Influence Rage. They still have to bide their time just a little bit more, as long as they don't get too impatient with some of these kills.
They want to protect their jungle right now, and it looks like Rare Atom is not allowing that. That's another purple buff steal from the side of Rare Atom. And as this game progresses and as Fury's kit gets harder and harder, and even with more damage, Rare Atom, they don't necessarily have a point-and-click stun that they can utilize like Influence Rage.
Yeah, that's true. It's more of the skill shots from the Lanaya. The only point-and-click is technically Mikey, but it requires him to skewer the opponents to either a wall or yet another enemy. The good thing for the side of Influence Rage that we are looking out for is Chino. Chino will be one of the big players from the team in order for him to start up a fight, a big fist crack that will stop Rare Atom, because mobility, I think that's one thing that we want to see. As long as the fist break manages to land in a good spot, especially onto Dawn, to kind of shove him in a tough spot, Rare Atom hardly will find a very good avenue to work around those walls to deal with the problem at bay.
That's why I think if they approach this as a 5v5, I think it's heavily favoring Influence Rage. Do you not think?
I think that it would be if they are completely balanced out. The main thing that I'm looking out for is because Influence Rage have an answer to both Lanaya and Mikey when it comes down to the OG Shadow kill. And when it comes down to the marksman matchup, it's double marksman against double marksman. So it's very, very equal. The only difference and the scary part is that Mikey has some crazy skilling, but Rare Atom does not have that great of a bruiser as compared to Influence Rage.
So these are the toss-ups that we're considering as both teams approach the Lord Dance. Damage, onto Chino. That's a flicker already utilized.
As now, we're just going to be hoping that Pakidu finds himself in a good spot. He does have the way of Dragon to kind of play around with, but in the meantime, the Lord is going to be taken down from the side of Lanaya. Powerful takes Chino down, while in the main big fight, in the heart of things, it is Pakidu to re-enter the fight, only to find himself taken down.
That was unfortunate. That was unfortunate for Influence Rage, right? I think they were a little bit too hesitant when it came down to the Lord Dance. So Chino found a moment. Wait a second, that's a pick onto Fury, perhaps.
Ring around the rosies. That is exactly what Fury is doing, and he manages to get himself an escape. But unfortunately, at a cost of Chan, with a 5-man rundown from the top lane, the OG Shadow Kill hoping to be able to clear these creep waves well enough. He managed to buy enough time, but unfortunately, the Lion slapped him right down. The fist break and crack lands over to the front lines. If only they have just enough damage. But Fury is not quite an execution, the Death Reaper, Grim Reaper just yet. As such, he's gonna be all alone for the next 14 seconds. Will he be able to clear the ballistas enough? And probably not, as Rare Atom focuses all firepower on the Fury and the Crystal.
There it is, boys and girls. As the Crystal collapse, it is official. Rare Atom from the Chinese region will be moving forward here in the MSC wildcards. GG to Influence Rage.